Our brains are buzzing, right? Phones are vibrating in our pockets, notifications are just constantly piling up. It feels like we're living in the middle of a nonstop digital shout. And we're supposed to think and create and just be in the middle of all that? How does that even work? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down right now.
So, let me just ask you a straight-up question. Are you an addict? Because I'll be honest, I am. 100%. Completely hooked. But maybe not on what you're thinking.
I'm addicted to this. The noise, the constant ping of notifications, the endless hypnotic scroll. You know, every little buzz, every little ding, it's like a tiny hit of dopamine that just keeps my brain firing. And I've got a feeling I am not the only one. So let's just call it what it is. It's an addiction to noise. And like any addiction, it has some pretty serious side effects that are, well, they're quietly messing with our ability to think clearly.
See, here's the thing about this information overload. It's not actually making us smarter. It's just creating this state of constant confusion. We are hit with so many options, so much data, that we end up paralyzed by choice. We can't make a decision, so what do? We procrastinate. And that just feeds this low-level anxiety and a mind that will not stop overthinking everything. It's more than just tiring, it's corrosive. It's like we're literally burning out our own mental circuits.
So what is the antidote to all of this noise? Well, it's not just silence. It's something way more powerful, something more active. It's stillness. And trust me, in today's world, being able to find stillness, that is a genuine superpower.
And just look at this contrast. It's so stark. The noisy mind is just trapped in overload, anxiety, and total paralysis. But the still mind, it operates from a place of clarity, of calm, and of focused action. It's the difference between being a pinball, getting bounced around by every external notification, and being the person who is calmly in control of the entire game.
So here's the key thing to get. Stillness is an active state of mind. It's that moment where you can see things clearly, filter out all the distractions, and really understand what matters so you can act on it with focus, not fear. It isn't about being empty, it's a form of incredible strength. The real question is, how do we get there?
Well, it all starts where the noise begins, in our minds. We have to learn how to declutter that space between our ears. And for our first lesson, we're going to take a trip back to the 1800s.
So you've got Napoleon Bonaparte, one of the most powerful men in history, and he had this really incredible habit. When his mail would arrive, he'd refuse to open it. He would let the entire pile just sit there for 3 full weeks. Why? Because he knew that in that time, most of the so-called urgent problems would just solve themselves. It was this brilliant, simple filter that let him focus his incredible energy only on what was truly important.
And Napoleon's habit just perfectly illustrates this quote. He understood way before the internet that a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. And today, our information is infinite, which means our attention is in a constant state of crisis. Every single notification, every email is basically a thief trying to steal a tiny piece.
So how do we fight back? Here's a really practical routine, a 60-minute sphere of silence. First up, for 30 minutes, you journal. Think of this as a brain dump. It's about getting all those swirling thoughts out of your head and onto paper so you can actually see them. Next, 20 minutes of focused learning. Read a book. No phone, no distractions. This forces your mind to lock onto a single subject. And then, the final 10 minutes are just for reflection. Just sit, meditate, let your brain process and connect the dots. It's like a daily reset button for your mind.
But look, stillness isn't just a mental game. You can't have a calm mind in an agitated body. The two are just fundamentally connected. To really find that stillness, you have to ground yourself physically.
Take William Gladstone. He was Prime Minister of the UK 4 separate times. To deal with all that immense pressure, he had this kind of bizarre habit. He'd go into the woods with a giant axe and just chop down massive trees. I mean, he chopped down over 1,000 of them in his lifetime. It was this demanding, repetitive, physical task that completely silenced the noise in his head. And he wasn't the only one. Winston Churchill, while he was writing a 3,000-page history of World War I, had his own ritual. He'd go into his garden and lay bricks, hundreds of them, day after day. It was his way of quieting his mind, of letting his brilliant thoughts organize themselves away from all the chaos. So here's the point. These legendary leaders used simple physical labor to find profound mental clarity. Now for you, it's probably not going to be chopping wood or laying bricks, but it could be going for a long walk or cooking a meal, swimming, hiking. So you have to ask yourself, what is my wood chopping?
What is that simple physical act that quiets my mind?
Okay, mind, check. Body, check. But there's a third piece to this puzzle, and it's essential for a stillness that actually lasts. It's the one that anchors everything else. You can call it your spirit or your soul, but let's just think of it as your inner compass, your core values, your sense of purpose. This is where the deepest peace really comes from.
Let's just look at the story of Tiger Woods for a second. On one side, you've got this unbelievable professional glory. He's arguably the greatest golfer of all time. His mind was a fortress of focus, his body a perfectly tuned machine. But on the other side, his personal life was in complete turmoil, leading to addiction and just deep unhappiness. It's such a powerful reminder that you can master your mind and body, but if your inner compass is broken, if your soul is empty, none of it is ever going to bring you peace.
And this brings me to one of my favorite stories ever. The authors Kurt Vonnegut and Joseph Heller are at this super lavish party, right? It's thrown by a billionaire. And Vonnegut leans over to Heller and he points out that their host probably made more money in a single day than Heller's masterpiece novel, Catch-22, had made in its entire existence.
And Heller's response is just perfect. He smiles and says, "Yes, but I have something he will never have. I have enough." That feeling, right there, that is spiritual stillness. It's freeing yourself from the exhausting, endless chase for more. It's the profound peace you get when you decide for yourself what is enough.
So, mastering your mind, grounding your body, and nourishing your soul. This is the three-part path to finding stillness in a world that is basically designed to steal it from you every single second. And it's a practice, right? It's not a destination you just arrive at one day.
The Roman philosopher Seneca described it so beautifully. Stillness is when the outside world, all the noise, the criticism, the praise, you can see it and feel it, but it just doesn't have the power to break your inner peace anymore. You become the calm at the absolute center of the storm.
And that really just leaves us with one last thought. The world is never going to stop shouting for your attention. Never. But what happens when you finally decide to just tune it out and listen, really listen to that quiet voice inside? What do you think you might hear?